Good evening. Sheriff Mike Barton, running for Republican candidate for Ripley County Sheriff for my third term.
Charlie Mays, running for Republican Party Sheriff.
Rad Talburt, Republican. Those of you who don't know me, I'm the famous fiddler Brady.
All right. Same as before. All right, I'll start with you, Mike. First question. Last fall, the Ripley County citizens read in the Prospect News issues regarding the budget. What would be your plan to meet the proposed budget, and how often would you monitor and adjust to ensure adequate funding throughout the year?
Okay. As you heard all this evening, budget. The backbone to each entity is a budget. You've also heard that a entity went over their budget. Guess who that was? That was me. But also for the last 22 plus years, for the history of the sheriff's office, no sheriff has been able to stay within that budget. Yes, we have a budget that we have to stay in, but we cannot predict crime. So when we try to go with what we spent the year before, we try to stay in that, but at any time, a big investigation could happen and we could go over that budget. Now that we have the jail this year, that budget has stayed within closer since we're not having to do the transporting. So looking forward with the jail, now that we are going to be able to help with the budget, staying closer with that.
Thank you. Mr. Mace?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. What would your plan be to meet the proposed budget, and how often would you monitor and adjust to ensure adequate funding throughout the year?
With the budget, I believe it can be monitored, needs to be monitored on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, quarterly. I believe there's unforeseen things that happen that could throw you over budget. At that point, you have to adjust by making cuts if necessary. But I think someone that has the ability to monitor an account, know where you stand at, what your lot has been. If you go over, that's where we have to ask the commissioners for extra money to get us through on whatever the problem is. We do have unforeseen stuff that happens to vehicles. Over time, the amount of crime that we put up with, over time eats up a lot of the budget itself. Maintenance for the vehicles, which falls back to the use of the vehicles and damage done to them. And I think that keeping an eye on your account would be a good opportunity for whoever's in charge of that department to take care of.
Thank you. Mr. Talbert?
Yes. When I filed for candidacy, I knew that the budget was going to be a problem. It was going to be hard to stay underneath it. When I was made colonel of the Water Patrol, we had morale issues and pay problems, and a lot of our officers were going to other departments. I hit the ground running. I went over to the legislators, started fighting for our officers and trying to get bills through so we could get pay parity with the other departments, like the highway patrol and the bigger ones. And the very first year, by working with the legislators and educating them, I was able to get that bill through and got parity with the other departments. I'll do the same thing with the sheriff's department. Hit the ground running. I got a lot of contacts all over the place. Jeff City, know people that can write grants and different funding mechanisms, and it's going to be a tough go, but what I do is work well with people and try to get things done.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Talbert, school violence is always a concern for parents. What kind of policy protection would you put into place or already have in place to ensure a timely response to violence in all of our county schools?
I know they already got an officer here at Donovan, but our other schools do not have any. And so we're going to have to up patrolling during school times at like Naylor School, and where we can be responsible and respond quick. I've got some ideas of even possibly getting a officer over at the Nader School during, every day, so that we can have an officer there and help control the violence if it should happen.
Thank you. Mr. Mays?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yes, sir. What kind of policy protections would you put into place or already have in place to ensure a timely response to violence in all of our county schools?
All of our schools, Lone Star, Gatewood, Naylor, it would be great to have an officer or deputy close to the schools at all times. Where we're scattered out, we're low manpower. Our response time to most of the schools in the county is anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. I think it'd be a good idea to have the deputies, if you have the manpower, and that's something that we need, is more manpower, more deputies that want to stick around Ripley County due to the pay. A lot of them are leaving us. But I think it would be good to have deputies close to the schools, or even at the schools as SROs, or some type of program that they can be seen, even a walk through during the day, morning, midday, and the afternoon, just to have a presence along with them.
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes, we have training right now already in, and we've been doing that for years. We go to each school, Donovan, Naylor, Lone Star, Gatewood, and we walk through those schools and get familiar with those schools. When we hire a new deputy, we take that deputy and show them the schools. Also, we actually even got a training come up this month where all entities, Sheriff's Office, Police Department, Highway Patrol, Conservation, all law enforcement, we get together and we go into the schools and we practice and we train and we pray to God for nothing ever happens. We don't have to use that training, but we are training already, and we train every year for that if something happens. The case of getting a officer in each school, right now with my budget that I have, about 7 days a week, I only have one deputy on to answer calls. So without more budget to get more manpower, that's one thing that we'd have to work on, is to be able to get more manpower in each school.
Thank you. Mr. Barton, if you were elected as sheriff, how would you propose to work collaboratively with other agencies in our area? And how would you work to resolve the prior disputes between these agencies?
I don't see us having big issues with agencies. We've all got our own jurisdiction and our own policies that we have to go by. But again, like I said, we do train with other agencies and work together. With the budget I have and the manpower that I have, when we do have a bad incident, crime, to where I need more assistance, I'm able to reach out because we have a task force formed that involves the Sheriff's Office, the Police Department, the Highway Patrol, and if there's an investigation that's going to take several days, I immediately reach out to those resources, because whatever resource I have to better that investigation, I will reach out to those agencies, and we do work together on those.
Thank you. Mr. Mace, would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm sorry.
Would you like me to repeat the question? If you are elected sheriff, how would you propose to work collaboratively with other agencies in our area? How would you work to resolve any prior disputes between agencies?
I believe that we currently work with several agencies. Any disagreements, to my knowledge, is more or less individuals, officers or deputies, that conflict with their attitudes or demeanors. It's my responsibility to I would teach my deputies, and have been, that they need to get along with other agencies. We ask for help from multiple agencies, whether it's Highway Patrol, Drug Task Force, the DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, a lot of different agencies, not just law enforcement, but several agencies. My goal is to teach my deputies to get have a pretty good relationship right now as far as disagreements with other agencies or someone that has problems with our agency. That's something we work on in a step-by-step basis.
Thank you. Mr. Talbert?
Yes. I patrolled Kern River for 21 years, and back then, everybody worked together. Highway patrol, water patrol, city police, sheriff's department, all the agencies were just, we communicated together, and everybody got together and worked together. As I've talked to what's happening now, nobody works together anymore. I've talked to the highway patrol, they don't work very well over here anymore. The city police and the sheriff's department doesn't work together very well anymore, and they'd like to get that back together. I can do that. That's one thing that I work really well with others. I've already been talking to a lot of them. They want to come over here and work. And by all of us working together, and we can accomplish so much more and get things done, sharing information and just solving a lot of the crimes of the county. One department can't do it. It takes all of them.
Thank you. Mr. Talbert, Ripley County has often stated that they are short-staffed on deputies. How do you plan to patrol this vast county with limited budget and resources to ensure the safety of its citizens?
A lot of it is get the training they need. It is going to be hard with the short manpower. There are grants out there that you can get to help your budget and get more manpower, cops grants and stuff like that. I've got them before. There's different things that you can do. I've trained officers all my life. I was the director of training for 6 years at the Highway Patrol Academy for the Water Patrol. I trained recruits. I trained seasoned officers for 25 years. And the officers that would work under me and work with me, I can train them to be professional, do their job. Once we start combating some of this crime and getting it stopped and slowed down, you're never going to stop it completely. Once you start getting it slowed down, you're not going to have as much. We're not going to have to patrol those areas and work call after call after call after call. You can get a lot of that slowed down and stopped where it's easier on the officer, and that he can investigate more and concentrate more on getting a lot of these criminals out of here. And we've got a beautiful jail over there now. Let's fill it up for a little bit and show them that we mean business and get a lot of this stuff stopped.
Thank you. Mr. Mays?
Repeat the question.
Yes, sir. Ripley County has often stated that they are short-staffed on deputies. How do you plan to patrol this vast county with limited budget and resources to ensure the safety of its citizens?
As I do now, I patrol usually some nights and weekends. However, I had knee surgery, so I'm not working on the road right now. Part of my responsibility as sheriff is not only have the deputies structured in an hourly fashion to cover. I would like to see 24/7 coverage in our county to better protect the citizens of the county. Right now, we have a ratio estimate between 13,000 and 15,000 people in the county, and versus one deputy working by himself. I work several times by myself. I think the possibility of having more people structured is a scheduling, and also that I would have to step up and cover nights, days, weekends, which I already do as well. That's just a continuing stuff. It would be great to have more money to have more deputies, and that is a goal of mine to try to get taken care of.
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Again, what it comes down to is budget, and I've asked, and if there's no more there to give, there's no more to give. So now I've had to learn how to take what I have and do the best that I can with the resources I have. So, being that said, without more manpower to be able to do more patrolling, to be able to do more drug enforcement, it comes down to the manpower that sometimes we just don't have. So, to help secure and tell the people that our children are my number one priority. I took in, when I became sheriff, and I appointed an investigator that was working the road, that did respond to some of these calls, but I took him to work with family services and juvenile office because our children are the number one priority, safety, because there is a lot of abuse and neglect that is taking place with our children and our families. Also from the domestic violence, he also works that. So with the budget I have and the manpower I have, I've had to adapt and take what manpower I have and appoint to these priorities. And that is one of my number one priorities. So luckily in the future going forward that we will get more manpower.
Thank you. Mr. Barton, according to the court records, there are over 300 unserved arrest warrants. If elected, what would you do to ensure that these individuals get arrested and see their day in court?
Again, with more manpower, we could put a team together to go knock on doors that have arrest warrants and arrest those people. But with the limited manpower, we respond to the calls that are at the present time. We work on those calls to call the call. And I would love to be able to put all of those and serve all those warrants. Also, if I do that, we have to have a bigger jail. Actually, today, the inmate that we put in jail today filled the jail up completely. So I was not going to be able to make an arrest tonight without making a trip. So what we did today is we removed, since there's 8 people that can be put in a pod, I had four females in that pod. I took them today and had to take them to Stoddard County to open up 8 spaces. So the jail is staying full, and we are working as hard as we can to protect the people.
Thank you. Mr. Mays?
One of the warrants, we have done what's called a warrant roundup several times when I first started with the department back in 2011. A lot of our warrants, whether the misdemeanor or felony, a lot of them are in the county, but there are several that are outside the county in different states, depending on where the warrant, or what type of warrant, misdemeanor or felony, depends on if we can go get them and bring them back. I believe my deputies and I have also, on our own time, done what's called a warrant roundup. We pick out several warrants out of the drawer and go around to the locations we'd like to do where people were trying to make the arrest. We've been successful in some and failed in some. It's just the opportunity to try to get them, find out where they're at. A lot of times, once we get the ones here, move out of state, and we have to go get them. And I think that eventually they're going to get caught. It may not be next week, it may not be a month from now, but eventually they will get caught.
Thank you. Mr. Talbert? Yes, sir. According to court records, there are over 300 unserved arrest warrants. If elected, what would you do to ensure that these individuals get arrested and see their day in court?
That's a lot of arrest warrants. Basically, what you need to do is probably start with the ones who are a menace to the society and the county. Get the bad ones off the street first and start getting them. You're just going to have to work through them as you go. And with the manpower we got, it's going to take more than 1 or 2, and doing, trying to get them found and caught and through the system, which also takes a while. You can't fill up the jail because then it costs the county more. But if you start with the worst ones where you know that the citizens are going to be safe, that's a starting place where you got to start out.
Thank you. Mr. Talbert? Drugs are a real problem in our county. If elected, what is your plan to crack down on the drugs in our community?
Drugs and thefts kind of go hand in hand. They both work together. If they want drugs, they go out and steal stuff. people who have come to me when they found out that I was filing for sheriff, they would come tell me story after story of people stealing stuff from their homes and things, and they would report it, and a lot of times the deputy wouldn't even show up. We've got to start enforcing the crimes that are committed. This will slow down the thefts and the drugs. I also plan on working with the SEMO Drug Task Force, get them in here. More manpower, that's their expertise. The guys that work on drugs from other agencies, that's what they do all the time. Get them in here, work on some of the drugs, the bigger ones, and start getting a lot of that slowed down.
Thank you. Mr. Mays?
The narcotics is a problem, and it does go along with the thefts. Bringing in the task force, which we have done and currently do, a lot of times with your drug activity, like the people stealing stuff in order to sell the stuff they stole to go buy the narcotics, that is true. A lot of times when stuff has been reported, the response is take the report. The deputy should be taking the report from the victim and investigating it as much as they can to try to find out who the suspects are. A lot of times when we're dealing with cases, the suspects are unknown, there's no cameras. It hinders us, and unless we have some type of trace evidence, fingerprints, DNA, or something that we can send to the lab, try to get analysis to eventually make an arrest. To apprehend people, put them in jail. I think that working that we do now is a slow process, and not everything happens overnight. It takes time to do some of these investigations.
Thank you. Ms. Barton?
Yes.
Barton, sorry.
Good, no problem. I've been called that before.
I apologize.
No problem. When I first started Ripley County, 2000, 2020, 2000, and 2001, for the first 10 years of my employment, I filled out a grant that was available at that time for narcotics officer. I was appointed that narcotics officer for Ripley County. There's 114 counties in the state of Missouri. During that 10 years, we stayed in the top 10 counties of the state of Missouri for making meth-related arrests. We were doing search warrants and serving and arresting people, and then also it didn't stop there. Then we also tried to get rehabilitation for those people. If you don't rehabilitate them and get them mental help that the drugs has caused them to get, the cycle keeps going. So also, when we say we have a meth problem that has caused a mental problem, it would be great if we could get more mental help in our communities that would also give rehabilitation to those people so that they wouldn't go back to that medicating themselves on that meth. So as far as task force, out of my budget right now every year, I pay the South Central or the SEMO Drug Task Force, and they are drug task force appointed to come help us in Ripley County. And when they're available, I call them, they will come help. But a lot of times they're in bigger cities and counties, they don't have the time to come help. So I do look out to those entities for help.
Thank you. Mr. Barton, what motivated you to run for this office?
Yes, Ripley County is my home. This is where I live. It's my family. Stacy works at the local clinic as a mental health counselor. I have a daughter that is a nurse. We have another daughter that just graduated SEMO with criminal justice. I have a son that is a junior here in Donovan that is a football player, big boy. So I'm dedicated to this county. This is my home. This is where my family is. This is where I want to work. The sheriff is the keeper of the peace, keeper of the courts, the keeper of the jail. I promise to do the best that I can to my ability to fulfill those.
Thank you. Mr. Mays? Yes, sir. What motivated you to run for this office?
I've been in law enforcement 23 years. I've worked for Ripley County for 13 years. Ripley County is my hometown. born and raised here. I love Ripley County. I love raising my family, my wife, my children. And I think I can do a good job as a sheriff. I have the ability, which we all three do, have the ability to be sheriff. I want the opportunity to serve Ripley County citizens and protect and do what I can for the county.
Thank you. Mr. Talbert?
Yeah, in 1980, I joined the Water Patrol, and it's a 6-month academy, and about 3 weeks before it was over, they gave us our choice. They told us to fill out a wish list where we wanted to go. 3 choices. I picked Table Rock, Palm de Terre, and Stockton Lake. And so when the day came for us to get our assignments, they said, "You're going to Current River, Donaldson, Missouri." And I thought, well, crap. I'm going to be chasing around canoes and 20-horse motors the rest of my career. Well, I got to know people here, made friends. I met a hot chick up on Smith's parking lot and married her. Started having a family and had 2 sons, Shane and Bryce, and fell in love with the community. We stayed here a long time until I had plenty of chances to move, but if it's not broken, why fix it, to go for promotion. Finally, the governor made me colonel, and I moved to Jeff City for a while, but this was always home, and we came back. And this was where our family was at, our grandkids. When I decided, people kept wanting me to go and run for sheriff, I kept saying, no, no, no. My wife and I talked about it, and we just started thinking what else was going on and everything. We wanted to protect our friends and family, and we decided it's time for me to serve again, so that's why I ran.
Thank you. All right, I've asked all the candidates the exact same question. Mr. Talbert, what does the future of Ripley County look like for you?
For me, my goals are to make a sheriff's department that the community can be proud of. My goal is to the deputies that work with me to be able to say, hey, I like going to work. I like catching these people, and I'm doing a good job, and I'm protecting my family and my community. And it just, it's time to serve again and do the best job that I can and just help out this county.
Thank you. Mr. Mason?
I believe Ripley County is going to improve. I think with the issues with law enforcement, anything in the county right now, I think can be worked out. I want to serve the citizens of Ripley County. I want to protect them. I love doing my job. I get excited to wake up and get in uniform, get in my truck and go out and patrol. Whether it's day, night, it doesn't matter to me. I love patrolling. I love communicating with the community. I do like arresting bad guys. I have a pretty good arrest record on people that I have arrested. Taking the bad guys off the street, but not only taking them off the street, but either putting them behind bars or getting them rehabilitated. I think Ripley County does have potential to become a excellent place to live, and I want to protect the community.
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
The future of Ripley County is our children. So, as elderly people.
Don't look at me.
Sorry, Ms. Donna. First one I went through. Sorry. Wiser. It is our job to help teach our future, which is our children. Also, our schools are doing that when parents are not able to. So, our county is growing. I love the downtown businesses that are coming in. Hopefully more will keep coming. The river is a tourist attraction on or off record, so hopefully we can give attention to that to draw more people in. So I'm going, this is my home, I will be here, I will help in whatever capacity that I am in. I will continue showing up to all the fundraisers, the Toys for Tots, decorating Christmas on the square, as a community. If we work together, pray together, we will grow strong together.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your candidates for sheriff.